Hello people, this is Red Venom 10, and today I'm going to be continuing opening up the third eye, part 2. Where if you notice I left off whereas in different understandings of how the third eye may manifest itself. Well, I said I was going to give you a little bit more detail into understanding the third eye. I'm going to give you from a medical point of view, and I'm going to give you from the natural traditional way point of view. Also, I'm going to be giving you some and some of those point of views I'm going to be showing to you. I'm going to be giving you some websites you can go to that I personally looked out myself, that I felt that it had truth in there, because see how my third eye works for me, and one of the ways it works for me is basically I'm always drawn to the truth. So no matter what, if there's truth in there, I can tap into it and I can actually grab that information regardless. If there's false in there, then I won't be able to grab it, because it's just false information, and what good is false information other than an illusion? And one of the many things that also the third eye helps with is illuminating truths, or illuminating just areas in general within yourself or outside yourself, however your third eye decides to manifest itself. Because like I said before, the third eye manifests itself in many different ways. Though it may have the same contents and the same precepts and virtues, it still manifests itself differently in each individuality, because of the fact of their destiny may be different. Their destiny may lead to a certain point, but then after that their gifts is no longer used or no longer needed. This is why most esoteric or mystics teach people to find their destiny or their calling, because it gives them more of a gratifying hold to their power, if that makes any sense. Well, let's continue to begin with the next steps. Some of the things I wrote down from my earlier research from just today. And I'm also pulling on some things that I've discovered and found out from way back then, when I also used to practice on this third eye, opening the third eye in the middle of my struggles. So, third eye. You can also check out Wikipedia with that one on third eye, Wikipedia on third eye. And I prefer you to go check this out, because even though a lot of people may not agree with it, a lot of the stuff that they have up in there are basic simple truths that they have there, and it gives people that gnosis of basically giving you automatic gnosis at your fingertips. That's what Wikipedia is good for, which is why I rely going on there a lot of the times. It kind of helps refreshing your memory, but it also kind of helps gives you a kind of cornerstone to begin with, or to begin to build with. Some other sites I want you to check out too. ConsciousLifeNews.com, how to open it in slash how to, how with a slash, to with another slash, with not the number 2 but as in TO, open another slash, third slash eye slash pineal gland. Well, you're going to notice you're going to run across a lot of information that's going to be having confusing debates on it. And the reason why I resort to the ancient ways of tradition is because it kind of gives you a focal point of truth. Now, if it started in the East, then how in the hell is it in the West that we're coming up with many different things, whereas where it originated, it began with this, and this is the creator of this particular tradition or system of energy work. You have to obey and respect the ancestors and the elders of it, because without that information and without that, you won't be able to get too far, and you will easily get lost in the he say, she say kind of stuff, and you will get lost in from the truth versus the real truth. I would like for you guys to look this up and compare the difference between the knowledge, and only stick to the ones where you're constantly repeatedly running into, because if you're constantly repeatedly running into it and it's streaming back to the original content from which it was originally created from, you can trust that it's actually true knowledge. Now, you're going to also run into knowledge that's not so accurate according to what other people have found. That's going to be ran into repetitively, but you're not going to run into it as much as you would if it's something that's more truth. The truth screams a lot louder here, just so you know. Also too, a better choice to look up. Also, awareawakening.com. That's a place that I looked at too. It has some pretty interesting detailed information on the third eye. And this is to you, toxic game player. Also, you can go to loving, laugh, beatlight.com, and you can also go there and look up some more information on that. And this love, light, love, laugh, be light.com actually sticks to the traditional ways of how it was originally taught, which is why I go to these different sites like that and compare the difference between the knowledge of here, of the West, versus the knowledge of the East. I mean, if we're gonna redo it here in the West, we should originally stick to it and make it where it's simply easier for other people to understand it, versus just coming up with all these difficulties and getting lost in the process. I'm not smashing Western mysticism or esotericism, but what I'm basically saying is that with honor, if you're gonna build something off someone else, at least do it with the decency of respect to maintain to that same concepts, and basically putting it in simpler terms where the people like us or other people who may want to know more about this can understand it in simpler terms. That was the main purpose of it anyway, I believe. That's just my opinion on it, but it's up to you to decide what you think that their opinion is. I mean, but if anything that's being reconstructed to make it better, it's always to be reconstructed to make clearer and simpler, not more complicated, because it was already complicated from the beginning. The language barrier is complications for people in the West. So having proper people that interpret things properly and knowing what they're doing will make things a lot better for Western and mysticism, Western mysticism and esotericism. Although there are things that Western mysticism and esotericism has a lot and shine better in other areas, but these are just some of the corrections that my third eye allows me to see from truth point value versus just, you know what I mean, talking out, just talking because I just don't agree with it. If it's the truth, I agree with it regardless. If I don't want to accept it or not, if I'm a truth seeker, which is what I am, then I'm going to accept it no matter what, regardless. Now, finding the right pieces and putting it in the right place, that's going to be the difficult part, because when you have so much truth to work with, how can you place it in the right place? It's kind of like building a puzzle, or how can you say, a 650 piece puzzle, and maintaining all the details. You got all the corners out, you got most of the top out, you got most of the bottom out. You have none whatsoever on the side, on the left side, and you have none whatsoever on the right side. And then you have just a little bit in the middle. Well, right there off on that little part before you get to the middle and before you get to the left side or the bottom, that's where you're building that. And you're starting off with details. How are you able to find that? Diligence and just patience, which is why patience is a virtue. No matter how much you want to get faster knowledge and grow faster, patience is still going to always be your virtue, because no matter what, it still takes time to grow. Even in nature, if you look at nature, when you plant a seed, it may grow as fast. The beginning process is fast. There's always going to be a certain process that identify you as an individual, unique from other people, that you're going to do better than other people, because that's just your talent. That's just who you are. You can't help it. People are going to hate on it, but that's okay. Let them hate, because in the process of them hating, you're basically just realizing more and more about who you really are. And the fact that you probably feel like, you may feel like, for me, I feel like this is the main reason why I do what I do, is because it's too much of it around here, and I just can't sit here and let it just sit. So also, one of the things you would know too, that once your third eye has become awakening or open to a degree of satisfaction, it'll also align up with the other chakras that needs to be open, such as the throat chakra, the heart chakra, the solar plexus chakra, the sacral chakra, and the root chakra. And the root chakra, aligning with the third eye chakra, cause illumination with action. action. So therefore you will see the truth, but then you'll be forced to act upon it. So those are the two harmonies, or the two elements that's working together that motivates energetically to do what you do. Whether it's because you want to find out more about it or whatever. A lot of people don't realize that when they hear something about it, the word itself was strong enough to resonate and open you up to a point where it causes you to seek more knowledge on it. Carrying on. Also too, I said I was going to give you some physical locations of where the pineal gland is, the difference between the pineal gland and the pituitary gland. Now you're going to run across a lot of different advices on the internet that's going to tell you that the pineal gland is actually the third eye, whereas in the Hindu or back in the yogis where they practice, chakras, which actually is a spinning wheel or an energy or a spinning energy wheel or whatever you want it, or spinning energy, but the Sanskrit word of it is actually spinning wheel. So that's why it gets that sphere-like looking, and the more you understand it, the more you realize that the different, like say for instance the root chakra has 4 petals. Each of those petals, on both sides of those petals in a detailed analyzation, represents something totally different from the other petal. That's a whole petal, but it's still 2 sides to it, versus the middle, which also is completely different. And in Hindu, they actually have different gods and goddesses that rule these different petals and different symbols and different spheres or geometric shapes, size, or whatever you look at it. Moving forward. Okay. Now I remember I told you that I was going to show you the physical aspects of it. Well, this is where I kind of do most of my studies at. If you look right here, this is the pineal gland. Although in the medical history they say that the pineal gland, called the master gland, this organ controls many other endocrine glands. And the endocrine gland is actually basically from my understanding and from what I've been showed in occultism, that the endocrine gland is actually the seat of where, the physical seat of where the chakras are located at. Because of these particular glands, we're able to do things that's unnormal, such as basically growth. It's automatic growth, but the pituitary gland is actually the one that controls that. So I can see why Western actually says that the pituitary gland is actually the master gland. Well, as in, believe it or not, if you think about it, fire, okay? Fire illuminates. It gives light. So therefore, with this simple food for thought, think about it. Eyes. What do eyes do? We see. We receive the light. We interpret it. It illuminates us where we could see and comprehend what it is that we're looking at. So therefore, with that, it seems like it has a lot more importance to it, whereas in every part has their importance to it, not just some parts. And as you can also see right here, the pineal gland, which is also right here, at this part, it says this tiny gland secrete melatonin, a hormone that may influence sexual development. But melatonin also releases sleepy elements as well. So therefore, that's why you find most people as in they're more sleepy when they're sexually aroused. It's because that gland controls both the sexual release as well as the sleepy release. And that explains why Aleister Crowley thought that this gland was the master gland, because of the fact of it controls procreation. It controls that very essence of us that allows us to create life, which is the grand master architect of all things anyway, according to the Christian God of creation. Creation is the greatest creation, or the greatest masterpiece. Well, I want to point out back to the pituitary gland, and the reason why I want to point out to that one is because this topic is based off of just opening up the third eye in general. And with this being said and secluded, right here, if you focus more on that area right there, it kind of does more than just open up on the physical level, because it opens you up on the spiritual level as well. And with that understanding of the spiritual connection to the pineal or the pituitary gland gives you more understanding of why the Eastern people consider the pituitary gland as the third eye, and doing more researching, because you're not going to find it out overnight. You're going to have to do more research on it. Plus, not to mention, it depends on the purpose of why you're doing it. If it's personal development, then it's going to come to a simple truth of your own understanding of it. But if you're doing it because you want the world to know about it, then your job is going to be a little bit more hectic, which means you're going to have to learn how to understand your simple truths of it, and then also understand the universal truths of it, which is something that I've been charged with, and it's something that no matter how much I try to get away from it, I wind up getting too close to it anyway. But remember, one of the places that I suggested that you go to and check out is Third Eye Wikipedia, AwareAwakening.com, and WickHow.com, which is something that I didn't say before, but WickHow.com, I like that one because it gives simple, basic truths, and it gives you pictures on basically how to understand it a little bit more. So pay attention to the truth though, and also compare it to other things. That's how you know the difference between the truth and not. And also LoveLaughBeLight.com. Those are the four sites that I suggest that you go to, and also to compare the knowledge to, and some other places that you may want to go to as well is Third Eye Wikipedia, as I said that already, and ConsciousLifeNews.com/how/2/open/third/I/pineal. Okay, so with that being said, this concludes this. If you have any questions, any comments or concerns, please do shoot me an email, angelicwitch777@gmail.com, or just basically place it up on my channel and I will answer it as quickly as possible. With this being said, this adjourns Cosmic Blessings as well. If you're looking for power readings or anything in that matter, or just plain on tarot readings, or just advice, or just a mentor, I am open to all those things. Please contact me at angelicwitch777@gmail.com. Thank you. Bye.